This is Moments with Foo with James Foo Torres, better known as Foo, the show that takes you around the world to share interviews with some of the most successful and relevant people on the planet, hear their stories, and get the most important business lessons they have learned on their road to success, and get exclusive advice on how to implement their success into your life and business. Moments with Foo is brought to you by the Strategic Advisor Board and your host, Foo.
Hello and welcome to Moments with Foo. I'm your host, James Foo Torres, but you can call me Foo, hence the name of the podcast. And today I have Kelly McCullough. She is a nutritionist and she is amazing at understanding the science behind it. She's licensed. It's not just somebody that just decided to learn something in the internet and started coaching it. She has a lot of experience, but I'm going to let her tell you more about that. But first, Kelly, how are you?
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm glad that it seems like you're good. You're good in a good mood. So that's great.
I'm excited to be here. And you mentioned something about my background, so people may be interested to know that I've been in healthcare for over 35 years. Yes, I started when I was 10. And I've had a lot of experience in helping people with diabetes, kidney disease, heart disease, things like cholesterol, high blood pressure, getting glucose levels controlled, A1C controlled, people that have had cancer, just variety of issues. Weight loss is a specific thing that I help people with because it tends to lend itself to improving all of those conditions as well. So that's a lot of what I end up doing to help people as far as that goes. I can also advise them on things like types of supplements. I'm not a big supplement person because I feel like if you're eating well and eating healthy, you don't need a lot of supplements, but there are some things we're just not going to get enough of in our food. So we do need to supplement those particular things, but there's not very many things. So we don't need tons of supplements.
As long as you eat very well, right? Like you eat very well, then you don't need much supplements. There's certain things and then certain people that have specific, we all kind of different a little bit chemically.
Right? If they have a specific condition, they may need something. If they have a specific deficiency, then they may need something. So it just kind of depends on what their individual situation is. I tend to help people that have very hectic schedules because I'm used to a hectic schedule, and I relate to that. A lot of my clients are healthcare professionals with very busy lifestyles, busy families, careers, etc. They don't have to be in the healthcare profession, of course. I have a lot of people that are in other professions because there's a lot of people that are busy. And I tend to cater to people that have limited time and don't have a lot of time to prepare and plan and meal prep and all of that. So they need my help and guidance on what to do on the fly and on the go.
Yeah, that's even people in healthcare, right? That they like, hey, I know that I need to be eating better, but then just even spending the time on going through, okay, let me do the research and let me do this stuff. And so having somebody like you that guides them with so much experience that way you don't have to think about that. And as business owners or just professionals with hectic schedules, the main thing that we want to do is to eliminate decisions that we need to make, right? So having somebody that can help us take the right decisions towards our health, and that's super important. So I know that's something that's a big value you offer.
Part of the problem with even if we spend the time researching it ourselves, there's contrasting information, there's conflicting information out there. And so you don't know how to discern, well, why does this say this and this says this and this makes sense, but so does this? Which way do I go? And so what I have done is I'm usually dealing with folks that have multiple issues at the same time. I've done that before. Some people don't have any issues, but multiple issues at the same time. So they have one mouth. They can only eat one way. And so we have one thing that they're doing. And I don't subscribe to diets. Okay. It's just moving to a healthier lifestyle. We're eating high nutrient value food and nourishing our body in the correct way, our bodies can heal themselves a lot of times from things if we are nourishing it and giving it the right components in which to do so. So we have
Yeah.
to be prepared for that. And so it's kind of like I'm the shortcut to get where you need to go, so you can take care of it and do the action steps. So you're not having to do all that other prepare and getting ready.
Yeah,
So
and even being able to have partnerships with food providers too. That even if you need help with that part of like, hey, I'm giving you what to do, but then cooking and all that, that you also guide them to some food
right,
services too that are healthy that you recommend to be able
yeah,
to do that, which I think is
yeah,
pretty cool. So that way,
yeah,
that's not an excuse for people,
yeah,
right? That I
yeah.
can't cook or whatever. That's not an excuse. I can help you with that too, right?
Yeah.
So
I have a client that recently that I've been helping that has had a cancer surgery, so he's recovering from that. Has heart disease, has an autoimmune disease. His blood sugars are high. He's not diabetic yet, but he's headed that direction. Um, is on the cholesterol medicine, is on blood pressure medicine, those kinds of things. So what we're doing is we're looking at one type of way that he can do. When you want to be a healthy person, it's not just what you're eating, it's your environment. You want a healthy environment, you want healthy surroundings, you want healthy movement, you want healthy sleep, you want all these other things feed into being a healthy individual. And you would see how that applies to any part of the life. When you're a professional, that applies in your workplace. It's not just the work you're doing, it's the people you're working with, it's the people that you work for, it's the people that you're providing a service for or a product for. It's the ongoings of the process itself. All of those things feed in to it. And the fact that you have good people that you can work with, that everybody does their part and they all work in well together, that makes a huge difference. If it doesn't, if there's a weak link in there, then it doesn't work out well. And that's what we try to eliminate, is those weak links within ourselves, whether it's the way we think, because a lot of what I do is mindset change. Because if we, you know, really any monkey, you can take a monkey or a dog or a cat, any animal, and you can change what they eat, and you can change how much fat percentage they have on their body, and help them get healthier. But if we're not changing the way that we think about something, that doesn't become a habit, and it won't continue, and it's not sustainable. So about 75% of what I do is educating people about mindset change and how to redirect those thought processes and what to do, how to handle stress and things of that sort, because that plays into it all. Once we look at the nutritional piece of it, then we also have to look at the habit formation piece of it, the behavioral piece of it. So that makes a big difference going forward as well.
yeah, definitely. I mean, and that goes with the reason that I focus on holistic growth rather than just the business side of things, or even just the personal side of things, right? Like holistic growth, define it as the combination of self development and business development, and that goes along with that train of thought of like your mindset is like the most important thing, because if you don't make changes, which they are just, look, this is my lifestyle now, it's not like I'm eating like this because I want to lose weight, or for this period of time because I have an event or I have something, then you get trapped on that of, oh, I'm just sacrificing myself for now. But then as soon as you get something that triggers you, something that really gets you in like, you need something, a coping mechanism, because that food ends up becoming a coping mechanism for a lot of people.
Right.
and
Right.
and, and learning how to control that, which is such a primal thing, could be, right? It's like, oh, food, like our fuel, but then the relationship that we have with that, I've seen it also uh, be something that then you're able to control, like you said, like the stress
Sure.
and all the things, right? Because it goes both ways. Stress can get you
Sure.
to eat, but then also eating well can get you to stress less, right? There's the chemical effects of that, right?
People, performance, when you're speaking of performance, you mentioned something about performance at work and in our lives and all of that. So you increase your performance level. If I'm hiring someone and I have a choice between two people that they are equal in their experience, in their knowledge base, and how they're going to be, contributing to the team in that regard. And I know somebody that has, I can tell that they maybe, I know it, oh, you're just looking at them to tell, but and one person is super healthy and the other person is not. I'm probably going to hire the super healthy. Why? Why would I do that? Because they're not going to be gone from work for a lot of doctor's appointments. They're going to have more energy when they come in and to be able to work more efficiently at their job. They're going to be able to interact well with other people because they are more apt to be open to working well with others and not be focused on they don't feel good that day or something else is going wrong or they're worried about that symptom that they have that they haven't gotten rid of. So I'm going to look for that. So we want people that are working in our companies to be people that are healthy, high performers. And that's what helps them also. That it helps our bottom line because our health insurance goes down when we have people that we have more of our population that are healthier that don't have all these other problems. Health insurance providers cannot legally charge you for being a higher rate for being diabetic. If you were diagnosed as diabetic with type 2 diabetes, and you're able to control things well enough to, without medication, change your lifestyle, change what you're doing and eating and moving and all of that, and your A1C level goes below 6 and it stays there for a full year without medication, that's key, they have to bring down your insurance rate. Okay?
That's good to know.
Also,
good to know.
life insurance, with life insurance, they have to do that too. So, and that's a good thing. Okay. So that brings down that insurance rate, brings down the insurance rate for you as an individual, brings down the insurance rate for the company that you work for or your company that you run. If you're the owner, brings down the insurance rate altogether. And it helps their performance level because they don't have those other issues nagging them in the process. Usually people, they may come to me and they want weight loss, they want to not have to take their medications anymore, and maybe they have reflux as well, and they're taking a reflux medication. And within a number of weeks, they're like, I don't have to take my reflux medication anymore. I've been on that for years. And they didn't expect that. But it had to do with the portion sizes and things like that. And it's not restrict. That's what I want people to understand is it's not just eat less and move more and that fixes it. It doesn't. If that was all it was, if it was that simple, we would not have an obesity epidemic in this country. We have 70% of the adults that are 20 years old and higher, 70%, this is confirmed by CDC and others, 70% of our population in the United States, of adult population, are either overweight or obese. Obesity is 30 BMI or higher. Okay, that's high. And we are projected to 50% of our population being in the obese category by 2040. It's probably going to happen sooner than that because usually when they predict that kind of stuff, it happens sooner. What's going to happen? It's going to look at what that's going to do to healthcare. It's going to, yes, expand it, but it's going to make the cost more. So it's going to cost everybody more. All right. The dollars go up there. It's going to cost more. And so it's going to cost more to do anything. And that there's going to be more problems. So what I'm trying to do is help other people, not function in that way. And I find that in the healthcare sector, we have more people that are overweight and obese, even though they know what to do. It's simply because their schedules are boom, boom, boom all day long. They barely have time to go to the restroom, much less think about eating something healthy or scheduling time to work out or whatever. And so I give them simple, easy things to do so that they can have more movement in their day and their regular every day. They're not having to have a specified workout time. I'm not saying anything against specified workout time. It's just that some people are like, there's no way I'm going to have time to do that. And so we find other ways that they can have more movement in their day. So there's ways to accommodate that kind of thing. And you can still be a healthy individual. And so that's why I tend to lean more toward Boston healthcare because I have that background and I've been in that kind of schedule and I work that kind of schedule. So I know what to help them with. I know what to do as far as that goes. I've also lost 50 pounds myself. And I ended up in that same situation. I had gained the 50 pounds over a period of time, and I'm only 5'2", so 50 pounds is a lot on a 5'2" frame. Okay, it's not very tall. And I lost that 50 pounds, um, but I had gained it over a period of about 10, 15 years of just being busy and not paying that much attention, paying some, but not that much. And, being a dietitian, I knew, so I wasn't letting it catch up to me as fast, but it was still catching up. And this was after menopause that I lost the 50 pounds. So those of ladies out there that feel like after menopause, I can't lose the weight. I was told that too. Oh, after menopause, you just weigh more. Really? So now I wear the same size that I did at age 22 when I married my husband. Okay. And I'm still married to the same guy. But so
I bet
I
he's
like,
really happy now.
yeah. And so I've helped a lot of people be able to do that. And of course their energy shoots up. Of course they sleep better. Of course they feel better and they have more confidence and all of those things. But a lot of it is the mindset thing. It's the mindset thing. It's not
100%.
just the virtue of losing the weight. It's the mindset thing. And so they continue and they sustain it because they're like, I've learned these new ways, this new way of living, not just eating, new way of living so that I can support that healthy lifestyle that I now have. I didn't need a diet. I needed a new lifestyle. And yes, we do have to invest a little bit in making those changes. In our brain, when we're forming a new habit, it's kind of like in a forest when you're clearing a forest area for a new trail. It's like that in our brain because the neuro pathways are used to going the same way, for the same habit over and over again. And so what we're doing is we're clearing the path. So we have to think about it at first. We have to make it easier. We have to do things that make it easier to be able to form that new habit and do it again and again and again and again. But once we go back and forth enough times, it makes it easier. It makes it easier to do it, and it becomes automatic. And
Yeah.
and you've heard of muscle memory. It's kind of the same thing.
Yeah. I was a couple podcasts ago. I was talking about this same thing, creating those neural pathways. It was focused not in nutrition. It was focused more on more like it was habits for like for pleasure and more mental and spiritual things, but it was the same. And the concept that I
Yeah.
brought was like the cattle trail, right? So like initially they pass and they form this cattle trail. If they stop passing there, then slowly but surely it's got to start growing again. And then so it's the same thing
Yeah.
with habits. It's like you gotta
Mhm.
build it, and then now it's like it's a clear path there because it's a habit for you. But also you can also snap back and then stop doing it, and then with time it's gonna stop being a habit if you don't go back to it, right? So it
Yeah.
goes both ways. So definitely something in here. And I'm glad that you share your all this information. And also with the things like, look, I've been in healthcare and this happened to me and I was able to do it. And that's why, like, also it's like, hey, have that soft spot for other people that are in that situation. So hey, I was I've been there after menopause and everything, even though all the things that people say, and I was able to do it. So I know you can do it too, right? So
Right.
that's
Right.
a very, very powerful statement, and good for people to really see it. It's like, hey, like, it's excuses. Like, doesn't matter where you're at, like you can get in shape, you can get productive. And then it all starts with the mindset and just changing who you are, not oh, what I eat for like a little bit, right? It's like,
Right.
this is the way that I think, this is the way that I eat, period. Right. And
Right.
now being in the holidays, and now like this is might come out a little bit after because we're kind of coming up very
Okay.
fast. But it's a very important thing, that not just for this holidays right now, like Christmas is about to happen, but also for other type of holidays, like summer comes, or
Right.
birthdays and all the things, to be able to come approach it with that mindset of like, hey, this is how I eat. And then one tip that I actually learned from you, that I've been even telling this to my family, during like Thanksgiving and things like that. I was telling like, hey, it's not like completely eliminate everything. If you have a good lifestyle, right, that you're all the time you're eating Monday to Friday, you're eating very healthy, Saturday comes or a birthday comes, you can have a little bit of cake or a little bit of dessert. Just I think it was just 3 bites. Is that correct?
Yeah. It's called the 3-bite rule, and the science behind it is that our the chemicals in our brain that wash over our brain for pleasure, all right, serotonin and others, do not increase after that third bite. So what happens is what I tell people is, if you really want it and it's something to die for, or you're going to feel like, I'm going to feel deprived if I don't have this thing, 2 days later, I'm like, I really should have had the whatever. And then you're eating anything and everything just to try to make up for it, but it's never the same. And we've all kind of been there. We've done that thing before. But what you do is you just really enjoy the aroma, the texture, and the taste of that first and then second and then third bite. Slow down and enjoy it. Okay. And then you push it away. If you continue to eat, just to test my theory, if you want to test it, you can continue to have the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, the 10th bite if you want to, but it flattens out after that because the chemicals in our brain don't increase that pleasure with every single bite after that. It increases and then it levels off. And so you don't really taste it. Like, for instance, if you have the flavored popcorns, like we've got some peppermint popcorn out there right now, it has some peppermint flavoring on it. After about that third, fourth, fifth bite, you don't really taste peppermint anymore. It's just popcorn. And that's because you're not getting that sensation anymore with the neurons in your brain. So it's like, okay, it makes sense to stop, especially if it's something that's not really that healthy for me. Now, popcorn is a whole grain, but if you're having it by itself, it shoots your blood sugar up. A lot of people don't realize that. It can shoot your blood sugar up. People are like, oh no, that doesn't shoot my blood sugar up. It's only cookies and pies and cakes and things like that shoot my blood sugar up, and candy that shoot my blood. No, corn shoots your blood sugar up. Potatoes shoot your blood sugar up. Rice, pasta, all those things shoot your blood sugar up. What do we want to do? We want to balance it. We want to have a 1-to-1 ratio. Okay, so when you're having popcorn, have some nuts with it too. When you're having popcorn, maybe have some avocado or something. You can have, if you're having something that's a high carb type thing or high glycemic, okay, shoot your blood sugar up. Have something that has protein and or fat with it so that it keeps it from shooting your blood sugar up so far. Okay, it's going to go up some, it just won't go up as much. So rather than having this peak when we're looking at it, we kind of have a bump instead. Okay.
I saw a video of this guy actually did a test of like, okay, let me eat an apple alone, I think it was, and then an apple with nut butter. I thought it was like something with nut, and then like the nut actually make the blood, and like he showed the test. It's like, hey, look, this is the test,
Right.
and it was exactly what you described, right? Like there was a bigger peak, and then there was like a
Yes.
smoother.
And the reason that happens, I'll give you the reason why that happens, is that the protein and the fat, and most things with protein have fat also. Most of them do. That occur naturally, I should say. What that does is it takes longer for your body to break it down and digest it. So when you have it together, it takes longer for all of it to digest and to spill into the bloodstream. It takes it longer. It's kind of like an extended release tablet. We understand how that works, right? Over time. So it's like that. So it's like it's making it take longer for that to reach. If you have it by itself, it's digested real fast. Boom, 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 goes into the bloodstream, shoots the blood sugar up. If you have the protein and fat with it, and you have equal or more protein and fat than the high carbohydrate item, okay, you can't have more of this and less of this and it not shoot your blood sugar up. Okay, it has to be equal in portion or bigger so that it keeps that from going up as high. Okay, so I always tell people 1-to-1, or it's okay for you to have if it's protein and fat over here and high carb over here, then it can be 2-to-1. That's okay, but you don't want this to be 2-to-1. Okay, or just by itself. So
Good,
you
good.
want to balance those things. It's not that you have to eliminate, you don't have to eliminate pasta and rice and potatoes from your eating plan. You just want to make sure that you're getting, some protein and fat too. Now, that being said, what is higher nutrient value than pasta, rice, potatoes, bread, any of those? What's higher nutrient value than even the highest nutrient value grain? Okay. Quinoa. Quinoa is a very high nutrient value grain. It has more protein in it than most other grains. Okay. But it still raises your blood sugar. All right. Because of the nature of it. Well, the higher nutrient value foods are going to be the non-starchy vegetables like broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, bell peppers. There's almost every other vegetable, squash, zucchini, almost every other vegetable out there, for the most part, in most cultures, your non-starchy vegetables are going, in any culture, the non-starchy vegetable is going to be a higher nutrient value, and it's going to be not going to raise your blood sugar. It does have carbohydrate, it's complex carbohydrate, but it doesn't have a high glycemic value of carbohydrate. So you don't have as much of an issue. So if you have your plate, first of all, it needs to be a smaller plate, doesn't need to be a huge platter for a plate. So you have a plate. If half your plate is covered in non-starchy vegetables, and then you have your protein over here, if you want to have a high carb item, it can go over here, but you want to watch the portion size and not let it be bigger than your protein size. Okay. And I'm not talking about just the way it looks. I'm talking about what is an actual serving. So an actual serving of pasta is half your fist. Now, your fist, if you are a bigger person than me, your fist is going to be bigger than mine, but your body's bigger than mine too. And it's not that much different when you actually measure it cup per cup or cup, in a cup or a tablespoon or whatever. So half your fist is about half a cup, and that's a serving of pasta. So when we have spaghetti, how many fistfuls of pasta are we putting on our plate? Usually 3 to 4, a lot of times. Okay. Are we putting 3 to 4 servings of meat in there? Are we putting in a vegetable on the side? Are we putting so if we put half the plate full of vegetables and we put some, whatever our meat is, over here, whatever our protein source is, I should say, if you're not eating meat. And then over here, we're having our high carb item. It needs to be a really small little serving of it over there so that you get high nutrient value from here, because that's not high nutrient. I tell my clients, that's just for fun. You're having that high carb item, that's just for fun. And just because you like it. You don't have to have it. It's not really adding that much. Okay. Can we find
Yeah.
nutrient value in it? Sure. But in comparison to the other stuff, not so much. So,
Yeah, I think with the carbs, based on my experience here in Puerto Rico, it's because mainly are something easy to find at a cheap price that is gonna fill you up, right? So especially with people don't have a lot of money, well, you can just make a lot of rice and then get full of that with a little bit of meat on the side just to get a little bit of protein. But not looking at the benefits, because I mean, most don't even know, right? And it's like, oh, get you full, seems like a good meal on paper, right? It looks healthy, like cooked at home. But
yeah,
then people don't think about those things that I think
right.
now, because I've been educated, not because of my
Yeah,
family, right? Because if it was
yeah.
my family, they still eat like that. So I'm
Well,
trying to
yeah,
educate them now.
yeah. The problem is that we think, oh, well, this is what I'm taking care of right now, and this is cheap right now. That's causing problems for you that are going to be very expensive down the road. And you're going to have to pay for that down the road in money and in time, lost money and lost time and lost ability to do things. And we don't want that. So, I had a elderly relative, relative asked me recently, I'm older and I want to eat whatever I want to eat. I said, that's fine. You can. Do you want somebody taking care of you the last 10 years of your life? Taking you to the bathroom, helping you get in and out of the bed, or maybe you're not able to get out of the bed at all and you're having to go in a bedpan. Is that what you want? And they're like, well, no. I'm like, okay, well, now's when we change this. 10, 20 years
Yeah.
before that is what is where we change it, so that you don't get to that point where you have to have that type of situation. Um, so it, but also when we're talking about cost effectiveness, there again, that half your fist, that's also a serving of cooked vegetable, half your fist. So people think, oh, I got to eat all these vegetables. Half your plate can be covered with 3 servings of half your fist, 1.5 cups of non-starchy veggie on your plate on this side, and then you've got protein over here. And then if you want to have a high carb item, you can have it over there. If not, you can just do the protein on that side, protein source on that side. And it takes a lot shorter time to make your meals, because a lot of the times the rice takes a long time to make, the pasta takes a long time to make, the potatoes take a long time to make. They take a long time to make. If you're cooking at home. And you can always choose healthier items. That's another thing we go over is when you're stopping at a restaurant or even fast food, there's a lot of healthier choices at places nowadays that we can make if we want to. Okay. But there's only 2 things that raise triglycerides. Let's talk about heart disease for a little bit. There's only 2 things that raise triglycerides. Why do we care about our triglycerides? It's just fat in the blood, right? Well, why do we care about that? Because that causes us to have a higher instance of heart disease. We know that that's a marker for heart disease. Well, there's only 2 things that raise it, and that's alcohol and high-fat baked goods. Okay? Muffins, biscuits, sweets, pies, cakes, cookies, high-fat baked goods, even some kind of breads. Okay? And you think, well, they don't have that much fat in them. They do. If they're moist, they have fat in them. Okay? There's nothing wrong with fat. There's nothing wrong with carbs. We need all of them. We need them to be balanced. Okay? Protein, carb, and fat needs to be balanced. It doesn't need to be low carb and low fat and high protein. It needs to be balanced. And so we want to balance those things out. And I know a lot of people that use, and I won't say the name of it because I don't want to diss anything, but they're eating high protein and high fat. And they're like, well, I don't have blood sugar issues. I don't have blood sugar issues. I don't have high A1C. Well, of course not, because most of what you're eating is not raising your blood sugar, but it isn't heart healthy. And you're going to end up with a heart situation down the road, a heart and vascular situation down the road. And if they're not eating non-starchy vegetables, they're not getting enough antioxidants in their bloodstream to fight all the things that they need to be able to fight to their immune system to be strong. Okay, so they're not getting the inflammation process from the cellular inflammation process from the high blood sugar, which that causes high blood sugar causes an inflammation process in the cells. They're not getting that. That's good, but they're not getting enough non-starchy vegetable in order to keep that keep everything the cells working healthfully. Okay, so we need all those things, and you're getting carbohydrate in your non-starchy vegetables. So when people say, "Oh, half your plate is filled with something that has carbohydrate in it," it's non-starchy vegetable. It's just not shooting your blood sugar up, thank goodness, and gives you tons of nutrients. So that's the difference. It's just making a different choice. And if you season things well, and I'm not talking about sodium, I'm just talking about herbs. You season things well. Those are the things that I guide people in. They're like, oh my goodness, I never realized I could eat this healthfully. It tastes this good. I take stuff all the time to community things, to my church functions, for family functions. I make, healthy dishes that are protein and non-starchy vegetables, what they are, and they're seasoned well. And they're like, oh, I didn't realize this would taste so good. I didn't know that, and they're like, is this diet food? Nope, I don't do diets. I just do healthy. I just make healthy food. That's it.
Yeah,
And
I was exposed
healthy.
to something like that with my aunt, thankfully. I was like, oh, I don't like veggies. But then I tried veggies seasoned and cooked and things like that. I was like, oh, this is actually pretty good.
Mhm.
And that was something that got me exposed to, oh, look, I guess I do like veggies. It depends. They have to be cooked.
Good
Just
enough.
like raw, no, nothing. It's like, come on, like
Yeah,
it's a
yeah.
little rough
And
a
our
lot of
taste
times.
buds
So
change over time, actually. Our taste buds can change.
100%,
And
100%.
it doesn't take long, actually. Whenever I'm working with people that have kidney disease, they have a specific issue with sodium. Most of them need to decrease their sodium some. in order to decrease their water retention because their kidneys are not functioning well enough, and then they have that more water retention, which causes their blood pressure to go up and all of those things. It's just a cascade of issues. It's just one thing after another, like kind of a domino effect. And so they're like, oh, I didn't know that I could make things taste good without sodium. Well, that's because you're not really tasting the food. You're tasting salt. And so we changed that up, and they're using all these other herbs, and they're not using so much sodium. Not that they can't use any sodium, but they're not using so much sodium. There's a lot of sodium in things already. There's a sodium phosphate solution that is usually injected into our meats at the grocery store when we're buying them fresh, and it also gets put into the things that are frozen. If it's just like chicken that's frozen without the meat, without the bone and the skin, and it's just the meat itself, it has a sodium phosphate solution in it to preserve it, to keep it pinker for longer, to keep it fresher longer. That's what it's for. And so we get some sodium anyway. We don't taste it, but we get some in there. So if we season it in other ways, we don't have a problem with not having enough sodium. Drinking enough water, there's another thing. Humans are 70% water. I laugh when I have people are like, my body doesn't work that way. Are you human? Okay. Well, if you're human, your body works this way. But 70% water. So we need a lot of water, and we don't realize that we need more water. And so we're like, well, I'm drinking this, I'm drinking this, I'm drinking this. Yes, but if we're drinking a lot of things that are high glycemic, vitamin water, when you buy the bottled vitamin water, it has 30 grams of carb in it. Why does it have 30 grams of carb? There's no carbohydrate in vitamins. There's no carbohydrate in water, but they put it in there for taste. Okay. And so we're getting stuff that we don't need. We have to look at the labels, pay attention to what's going on. And that's what I help people look at. Now, do we have time to look it up? No, but I can tell you basically what to do. People say, well, what about gluten-free? Well, you know what? When you're eating protein and non-starchy vegetables, that's gluten-free.
Yeah.
It's gluten-free. You don't have to buy the processed stuff that's devoid of most nutrients and fiber in order to be eating gluten-free. You can eat gluten-free without it. So there's a lot of ways to kind of work around that, to base we're looking at just the nutrition piece. We're not looking at the mindset piece. We're just looking at the nutrition piece. But if we change the mindset part, the way we're thinking, the nutrition piece becomes easier. Because
it's about perspective. It's about perspective.
Yeah. Because we make the decision. We're like, I'm a healthy person. I don't care if you're 100 pounds overweight. You can say, you know what? I'm a healthy person in here, and I want to behave like a healthy person. What does a healthy person do? A healthy person eats this way. They move this way. They talk this way to themselves. They take care of themselves. They spend time to make sure that they get good sleep. Those kinds of things. If I want to be a healthy person, I do the things a healthy person do. If you are you want to be an athlete, you want to be a high performer at work, what are the high performers doing? Now, if they're bragging about
gonna say just that,
if they're bragging about never getting any sleep, you don't want to do like them, because they're going to burn out. Okay. So you want to make sure that you're taking care of this vessel that you're in, so that you can perform well and do the things that that you want to be able to do. Live the life you want to live. It may be travel all the time. It may be you may be happy as a lark, taking care of just doing your work every day and focusing on that, and really not doing much of it. That's okay. If that's what makes you happy and you thrive on that, do it. Okay. But let's do it healthfully, and let's do it for as long as we possibly can healthfully, and not have to then invest all this money in the other half of our lives trying to stay well because we didn't take care of ourselves when we were younger. We don't take care of ourselves in our 20s, 30s, 40s, and even 50s. We're not going to be able. I'm in my 50s, by the way. I'm in my 50s. Okay. A lot of people think I'm in my 40s. I'm in my 50s. All right. And I'm going to live to 100 or more. I've decided. Okay. And so when people talk about, so my money needs to last me till then, and my body needs to last me well through all of that. And so I want to make sure that I'm doing it. If I'm keeping myself healthy and doing the things that I should, there's no reason why I can't. There's a lot of people nowadays. There's a lot of people nowadays living
And with
well
the
over.
science, now, biohacking so many different ways. Now they're like
Right,
reverse aging now,
right,
basically. So as long as you keep your vessel as much as you can, then you're able to be a high achiever, right? A high performer. As a
right.
being a high performer, then you can make more money, and then you have access to better
Okay.
biohacking tools and
Yeah,
things that you
exactly.
can use, and
Exactly.
that's
Exactly.
yeah.
And
So
you're able to spend time with the people that you love or doing the things that you love to do. That's what everybody wants to do. Whatever it is, it's varied for everybody. But whatever that happens to be, you're going to be able to do that so much better if you are healthy overall. And I've had people tell me, "Oh, I have diabetes type 2 and I'm 100 pounds overweight and I have this problem and that problem, but I'm healthy." No, sweetie, you're not healthy. That's not health. Okay. And, they're like, "Well, I don't have, I can get up every day and do." Yes, you can, but you would, your joints are hurting, your feet are hurting, your knees are hurting. That's not healthy. So there's a lot of things. It's not normal to be hurting every single morning when you wake up when you're in your 50s. That's not normal. And so that's not, and it's not healthy. So people might say, "Oh, well, it's normal where I live." Okay, well, let's look at the habits of everybody where you live, and then maybe we can figure out what's going on there.
yeah,
Um,
definitely.
but
Yeah,
I'm
that's
I sound like I'm hard on people. I'm not really hard on people. I work with people very, in a very kind manner, that kind of thing. But sometimes we just need to be, somebody needs to take our shoulders and shake us. I don't shake you when I'm counseling with you, but on this here, there may be people listening that are like, "No, that's true. I need to do that. I need to do that." And really, we just have to make up our own mind. I'm not in a situation. That's why I tell people I'm a healthcare provider. I'm not a salesperson. I'm not going to try to convince you that you need something, especially if you don't.
yeah.
And I think ethical salespeople don't do that either. And so, but that's just, because I care about people and I care more about the fact that they are. I want to see people get healthy and stay that way. That's my goal. And if they're interested in it, then I'm ready to help them. If they're not interested in doing that, come back to see me when you're ready. That's how I feel.
Exactly. Um, so yeah, no, thanks for giving us all that amazing information. Something that everybody that wants to be a high achiever needs to hear. If you want to live for a long time, you want to enjoy your grandkids without having to have too much pain or anything. That is something to start taking care of yourself right now. Start changing that mindset that you have again with food. Start seeing sugar as what it is a drug. So like if you want to do a drug every now and then and you're gonna be able to recover from it, great. But if you do it all the time, you know what happens to addicts, right? You know what happens, like you do a lot of drugs in a long period of time. That's how I see it. And that's why I tell people to see it, because it is what it is. It's addictive and
Right.
everything. So if you do that and you eliminate processed foods, start looking at the labels, just as simple as that, without getting into too much of the details, because that's how I move. And then keep educating, right? Continuously education, and surround yourself with the right people. You'll be on track. So
Mhm.
thanks for everything, Kelly. It's being amazing too. It's always great to talk to you. I mean, while we work together, I learned so much from you, and I'm keep learning, right, through your content. So thanks for taking the time to come here. So before we leave, you kind of mentioned already, like, people with hectic schedules and busy professionals, but then, if there's some people like that want to find you, how can people find you?
Well, I'm all over LinkedIn, but the best thing is to just probably contact me directly through my email, which is kelly@focusforwardnutrition.com. Kelly@focusforwardnutrition.com. KELLY at focusforwardnutrition.com. Is probably the best way to contact me. Of course, if you were to Google Focus Forward Nutrition, you're going to find a website also that I have. You're going to find there's all kinds of ways to contact me, but email is probably the best way.
Yeah.
Just to directly
And social
contact
media,
me.
I mean, you're pretty accessible to social media, so I think that's a good one too. So
LinkedIn,
email
on
or
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And I'll have the links in the description. So for anybody, I just like, asking for preferences and stuff. And if
Right.
you listen to
Yeah.
this,
I
just
mean,
go to the
a lot of
description.
people contact me through LinkedIn. They see posts that I make and they contact me through LinkedIn. That's very common.
Yeah,
But
you're a top
contact
voice on LinkedIn and you have a lot of content. You're very, very consistent with adding value and showing testimonials and all that. So I highly suggest for people here to go and connect with you, follow you to really see the journey because it's very impressive.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you inviting me today. I've enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. And I look forward to possibly doing more content together. I mean, we're doing a lot of things together, and I don't think it's gonna change. As we move to 2024, big things are coming for both of us. So, as I focus on holistic growth, nutrition is a big part of it, right? So, I know that our paths will collide again. So, I'll without further ado, like we're being here already. So, like, just connect with Kelly and focus on holistic growth like we were talking about. And if you need help, contact us and we'll be happy to assist you. So this was Ken McCullough and this is Fu, and this is us signing off.
Thanks for listening to Moments with Fu with your host, Fu. Please leave your feedback and visit strategicadvisorboard.com to get the latest and greatest business advisement on the planet. Follow us on social media for updates, and we will see you on the next episode.